the implementation overview video for the Key Stage 3 spelling intervention. How do you set up the evaluation in your school? So the first thing you need to do is identify 2 similar ability Key Stage 3 classes in the subject that you're teaching. Then using the What Worked trial wizard, you then put your trial start dates in, and then it asks you for the name of the 2 classes that you're going to have. So you'll put the 2 class names in, and it will then allocate these into the intervention or the control. So the intervention group will use the strategy and the control group will not. You then complete the pre-assessment spelling test, which we will go through how you create this with both groups. You then input the data into the platform, and then the intervention group continue with the spelling intervention, and the control group continue as business as usual. And then you replicate at the end of the duration of the study the pre-assessment test again, which is as the post, so that you have a measure of how well the students have done. And this is the same assessment spelling test for both the intervention and the control class. So the intervention. So this has already been covered, but this is the look, say, cover, write, check. And the target group is Key Stage 3 pupils. This is delivered in class time and can be set as homework. And each session should take, when you're practicing this, should take between 5 and 10 minutes maximum. And one of the things that you can do is use the template, and then once the students have done this, is potentially sit this in your books, which will help you to flag the literacy work that you're doing. So let's quickly recap the intervention and how this works. So the students study a word. They then say the word aloud clearly, paying attention to the spelling. Cover it up with a piece of paper or their hand. We use the sheet, which is in the resource folder. Write the spellings next to the original word, and then check their version to see if they got it right. And then write the correct spelling again if necessary. And this version of the strategy emphasizes reading and saying the word aloud to help make that connection between the written and spoken word. So how to select the spellings. So identify the key subject-specific keywords that you'll be teaching in the next 4 weeks. Please use this to create a list of 20 spelling words that you will then use for the assessment, and this will be used as your pre and post assessment. Each week, the learners will then practice 5 new spellings using the look, say, cover, write, check. And then in week 5, use this time to consolidate the spellings of the words that learners are finding the most difficult. So again, the resources in the resource folder. What we do at What Worked is we don't take any personal identifying information from any of your learners. So in your resource folder, you will see a CSV file, Excel document. And in here, it then allows you to basically, from the system, have student 1, 2, 3 for the intervention and control class. And then you just link this to a student who's in there to allow you to keep your pre-test score and post-test score. And you have a record of whether they're free school meal status or not. And then once this has been completed for your pre-assessment, you then just go on the trial wizard, upload your data for both groups, and then you leave the platform alone. Then when it comes to your post-assessment, you log back on, input your post-assessment data, and then it generates an impact report to show you how this has worked in your classroom. So key considerations just before you start the spelling intervention. So is there a suitable time for the delivery of this? A maximum of 10 minutes. Could it potentially be used as a bell activity as they come in the classroom or as a starter activity? Reminders. If it is done for homework as well, just remind the students of when the homework's due. Resources. If you want to print off the templates, then we've included that. So it's available for the students. And also, as it's something where you can link to potentially rewards. Logistical barriers are common in any intervention delivered in schools, but this is quite a simple intervention to incorporate into your teaching, so there should not be too many logistical barriers. So moving on to the assessment, which I've briefly discussed. So the outcome in this is defined by the pre-post spelling test that you create. It's marked out of 20, and it's the same for both the pre and the post assessment, and it's the words that you've selected for this intervention. As both the control and intervention groups receive the same assessment, familiarity with it should not bias the effect size. And just some guidance for this, if it could be done under test conditions, allow approximately 10 to 15 minutes for the assessment. And when you're providing the word, put it into context, ideally for the students, and then just record your pre and your post assessment scores in your tracking spreadsheet and then input this into the What Work Teachers platform.